welcome to week 9 of Jonathan Olow's construction project. And last week was the sheetrocking, and this week we are now in the mudding stage. And remember all the nails that we had here? Well, what's happening is in all the seams of the sheetrock, they put down a piece of tape and then they mud over that. And the mudding and the taping, they'll eventually put another layer of mud. Those will go in through all the seams. And as you can see on this flip to the ceiling, they also do the ceiling. So remember, the sheetrock came in 4-foot by 8-foot pieces. So there's always a seam somewhere. Well, there'll always be a seam, but the tape keeps it from opening up and cracking and keeping it smooth. And as we go into the bathroom here, same way, there's that green rock, but they also will be getting that mud and the tape. So we're actually doing the taping. This is a machine now. They used to do this all by hand, but now there's a special machine that puts it out a lot quicker, which is new to me because I used to do this by hand, and they mud over it. So what he'll do is he'll go through, put that over the seams or the openings. It's kind of like a tape dispenser if you look at it. And I'll get out of his way. And great job. So we had talked about the mud, and this is where they put it into a little tray. It actually looks a little bit like icing on a cake, but it comes in these boxes in bags, and then they take it same way if you would with icing. It's putting it in here, and then they use a spatula to put it onto the walls. And if there's smaller areas where that big tape dispenser, they'll put on tape just by hand. The sheetrockers are done, and the, as we would call them, mudders, people that are putting the finish on the walls, have been in. And the other clip we had where we had just the tape and a little bit of mud on, but now you can see the walls do have some texture on it. And notice where it wasn't done there on the right, you can just see where the lines were and covering over the screw and the nail holes, but we do have some texture to the walls. In here it looks like there's stains on the wall. This is actually where the texture is going to be. I'm not doing a very smooth finish. There's going to be a little bit of a texture on it on the wall, and that's typical for these homes. And so that part of the house, which was the kitchen and the living room, but we're going in through to the bathroom again. Remember, we were talking about where the green walls were. You can see they have put a coat on here. It looks kind of like yellowy green color, but eventually what will happen is we will be putting a primer on the walls, and which will give it a neutral finish, and then you put your finished color on, which I need to go and run to Home Depot. I'm purchasing Behr paint, which is a good level paint for a home, and I will be selecting that actually in the next day or two. And I'm back into the master bathroom, and I wanted to point something out that a lot of people might not ever see, but that ridge that runs along the opening to the skylight, there is what's called a bullnose. It's a piece of metal, and when somebody's deciding how they want to finish off the corners, basically right here is where you would put a piece of what's called bullnose, and that's the way that I'm finishing off the walls and the corners, is with bullnose. And here it is again. You can see it's kind of a rounded piece of metal, and that actually will have a little bit of mud on it, but then eventually it's painted over. But I thought I'd bring that up, and that's also bullnosed on top, so it gives it a rounder, softer finish. Well, this will be the last time you see this black house. It is going to be stuccoed this weekend. They're putting on what's called the brown coat. The inside of the house is pretty much mudded and taped. Somebody did ask me this week. They said, John, what if the paper gets wet before the stucco? And actually, the stucco guy was here this morning, and I asked him about that, and he confirmed that yes, if it was soaked completely, but now that we have some warmer weather coming again this weekend, everything should be fine. But this black paper is made out of tar, and that basically repels water a lot. So the stucco actually does go on wet too. Something that was added this week was this ledger board in the back. This is where a deck eventually will be. So we had to put that up in the last minute before the stucco went on, just to be sure we're able to put a deck on there later. And that'll run the back side of the house as well. So this is Jonathan signing out for this week. Should have the back, front, sides, everything done. And enjoy. We'll talk to you next week. And we're doing a lot more of the finishes. Take care.